If they get everything Barack Obama wants on government-run health care, on cap and trade, on card check, you name it, if they get everything Barack Obama wants, 100%, it won't be enough. If today they got everything that they're demanding, 100%, they'd be back tomorrow. Because they won't be happy until all of us are in some rice field, shoulder to shoulder, in our bare feet, looking at our little baskets to make sure we all have the same amount of rice. And even then, it won't be enough. I've put the question to the leftists in this audience over and over again. The question, in multiple parts, being, since you've abandoned the limits on government in the Constitution, what are the limits on government? Where do we find them? Who defines them? Where are they defined? What are the limits on taxation and spending? What are the limits on federal interference with the states? What are the limits on federal interference with the private sector? What are the limits on federal intervention in individuals' lives? Where are the limits? If the Constitution is living and breathing, meaning it can be manipulated by a temporary cabal of politicians in Washington, D.C., which is exactly what they mean and exactly what they're doing, then the question I put to them again and again and again, and which they cannot answer and will not answer because it exposes them as tyrants, is, what are the limits? Well, we know them when we see them, or when they squeeze just a little too hard. Then we'll realize it. Then it's too late. Then it's way too late. Soviet Politburo. That's what we're dealing. We have a handful of power-hungry egomaniacs meeting in secret, talking over telephones, staff, swapping proposals on a plan that they would institute despite all public opinion polls, despite 3 major recent elections, all of which were defeats for Obama and his government-run this, that, and the other thing. And instead of being motivated to respond to the will of the people, they are motivated to crush it. Because they do not believe in representative government. They believe in government. 2 different things. But Obama's not about competition. He wants to set up a 7-member panel headed by the commissar at the HHS building determining how much insurance companies can charge you. Then we're going to have another panel of experts, handpicked by politicians, so we know what kind of experts they'll be. Same as the climate change experts, quote unquote. And they're going to determine what tests, procedures, and medicines should be made available to whom and when, if ever. And then when you don't capitulate, they get angry at you. What do you mean? You're obstructing us. What do you mean you want to say? What do you mean the American people want this? Forget about the elections and the polls. They don't know what's good for them. They want it. Trust me. When they redistribute wealth, we're all the poorer for it. We all wind up in the rice fields, one way or another. Mark, what do you mean by that? I'm trying to give you a mental image. We're all in the rice fields, all bent down, trying to get our quota of rice, and it's never enough. Look at that. You still don't have equality. Even though you all have the same basket, you're working the same area. Ernie brought back less rice than Frank. You see, you can never have pure equality. And we don't want pure equality. We want equality for certain purposes, that, for instance, equality under the law, equality of spirit, and so forth. But inequality where an individual is free to do what he wants, as long as it doesn't break the law, as long as it's not immoral, free to do what he wants, that's inequality. And in that context, inequality is very American. It just depends what you mean.